This is the first of a 6-part series of Fred Talks about our Vincentian virtues. But before we get to those 5 specific virtues, maybe we should ask some more basic questions. What is virtue? How is it acquired? How is it practiced? Our catechism teaches that virtue is a habitual and firm disposition to do good. Aristotle taught that to become a builder, you have to build things, and by extension, to become virtuous, you must do virtuous things. St. Vincent de Paul had a similar view. He once likened virtue to an apple on a tree, which, even though I see it very clearly and find it very beautiful, he said, I'm not holding it for all that, I'm not enjoying it. Reason helps us to see virtue clearly, but it doesn't give it to us. In other words, thinking about virtue is not enough, for as Vincent said, all our reasons are fruitless if we don't go on to actions. Modern psychology suggests that it takes 21 days to form a habit, and in this case, all this doing will certainly form the habit of doing good. But the habit our catechism describes is not just the habit of doing good, but the disposition to do good. Acquiring virtue may begin with doing, but it ends with being. The Catechism of the Catholic Church describes the human virtues centered around the 4 cardinal virtues of prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. The human virtues, it says, are stable dispositions of the intellect and the will that govern our acts, order our passions, and guide our conduct in accordance with reason and faith. St. Augustine explained the cardinal virtues, saying that to live well is nothing other than to love God with all one's heart, and that love is kept whole and uncorrupted through temperance. No misfortune can disturb it, and this is fortitude. It obeys only God, and this is justice. And it is careful in discerning things, so as not to be surprised by deceit or trickery, and this is prudence. These virtues, the Catechism teaches, grow through education, deliberate acts, and perseverance in struggle. Divine grace purifies and elevates them. So once again, we see doing turning into being. The theological virtues of faith, hope, and charity, taught to us by St. Paul, are infused in our souls by God. They animate Christian moral behavior. They dispose us to live in a relationship with the Holy Trinity. And this brings us to what our rule calls the essential virtues, or what we usually refer to as the Vincentian virtues. They come to us from St. Vincent de Paul, who in turn called them the characteristic virtues. The first 3, simplicity, humility, and gentleness, he called the gospel virtues. He said we could observe these and imitate them in the life of Jesus. The first, simplicity, has to do with God. The second, humility, has to do with ourselves. And the third, gentleness, has to do with the neighbor. In its turn, selflessness is one of the main means of acquiring the other virtues, while zeal is a pure desire to become pleasing to God and helpful to our neighbor. Over the next 5 Fred Talks, we'll look at each one of these virtues in turn.